Basically a question of direction. If you get involved with things in this direction, it's going to be trouble. Get involved with things in this direction, your heart's direction. That's the solution to everything. The tools of involvement in this direction and involvement in this direction are different. What are the tools of involvement in the direction of the world? Turning towards the Vedantin, sense perception and thinking about the sense perception objects. What is the tool for turning inward? Just our intuition, just our heart guidance, Sadguru presence. A spiritual seeker in the process of seeking besides other things that they do, the process of seeking tries to mix up both the world, sense perceptions, as subtle as they may be, and their thinking, and tries to mix it up with their intuitive insight. And that's why spiritual seeking can seem like a journey. Who has mixed, I don't know where these examples come from. Somebody's mixed sambar and chocolate. So mixing the head and heart is an even worse idea. Oftentimes what we do is we get a true insight, but because our habit is to think, we try to make sense of that true insight also in our thinking. Because many times it may feel like I don't know whether I'm progressing, I don't know whether this is true what I'm finding. So we go to the oppressor itself and say, can I get your approval on this, or can you make sense of this for me? Because everything that you're finding is completely beyond sense making. Everything that you're finding cannot be made sense of, no? That there is a self which is beyond all perception, which is beyond the universe. Even these words are an attempt to make sense of it. That within that self emerges a presence, and that presence is God, it is consciousness. The all-powerful, all-intelligent, all-just, all-pervasive being. Now the trouble is, what does it mean to know this? If you can repeat what I said, if you understood and you take it to be true also, but as a bundle of concepts, Would that mean a knowing of it? It does not mean a knowing of it. And many times it serves as a distraction from the knowing of it. So the only use of the words is to serve as pointers for contemplation. So awareness is aware of the play of perception. How to use these words? With which instrument are you meeting them? What does it mean to be aware? What is aware? These questions can only be met truly intuitively. So a pointer like, are you aware now? Where do you know the answer? Make that your home. Don't leave that, no matter what the temptation. Where do you know that you are aware? Is it a perception? Is it just thinking conceptual? It isn't. Then there's never a good reason to leave that place. Easy to stay? What makes it difficult? Hmm? Habit of the mind. The habit of the mind is what? What can it do? What is its design? Yeah, but very specifically to create these energy constructs called thoughts. Hmm? And it does it smartly, intelligently, but it's just a thought producing machine, thought producing factory. So thought comes. Can any thought compel you to leave? So is the habit of the mind, or is that habit mine? Yeah. Yeah? The habit itself is the mind. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm making a distinction between the mind's play of creating thoughts. You see? And what I'm trying to avoid is a notion that that has to stop for me to be free, because the habit is in the mind. The mind will keep producing, and as long as it keeps producing these thoughts, till then I have no option. But it's not like that. It may keep producing, and it can produce them on its conveyor belt, but to pick up or not to pick up is a power that you, as an expression of consciousness itself, have. Nobody can take that power away from you. Hmm? So if someone was addicted to, say, Chinese food, then when they're walking around, they just, if they spot a place which is serving Chinese food, they're just like, see, it's their fault. Why do they have these places? They have these. I'm stuck now. I have to go and eat. Who asked them to open that restaurant? But nobody can force you to go in. And if this was not true, then really, what are we all talking about? Then the human condition is that of mental slavery, and our freedom depends on when the mind decides to stop. So the fact is that you can decide to stop. You can decide to stop. So, and when you find that the greater is to be empty, the greater place is to be in God's light, then the mind will not have it so easy. And it will be possible for you to just remain most of the time 100% forget about it. That notion of 100% itself will the mind use. So that is the simplicity of what is being shared. And their insight is there, love is there, following his will, all of that is naturally there. But most of us end up reporting because it seems so strong. The addiction to Chinese food seems so strong that we say, give me something, tie me to my heart so I don't go into the marketplace at all. Couldn't you make it so that I could be tied at home in my true place, and then I would not see the Chinese restaurant only. So then so many different practices and sadhanas have been given for that. So then one of the simplest, or probably the simplest, is to say the prayer or chant the name of God. Because what happens when you chant? Suppose you don't even know a prayer, you're new to spirituality, someone told you chant the name of Ram. So you just go Ram, 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 Ram. Difficult? It's very easy. Very easy, at least relatively speaking. Once you have this anchor, you're anchored in. Now, some will say that my attention still goes to thoughts, my interest still goes to other things. So I may be saying Ram, 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 Ram. But my mind is saying Hakka noodles, fried rice. So it's just going over there. So then the sage said, okay, do one thing. Get one more aspect of you involved. Because if you get two aspects of yourself involved, that's the extent of your attention usually. Take a mala in your hand, keep moving your finger like this. Now you're doing this and you're chanting. Now you have hardly any attention left to go towards the distraction, go towards the thoughts. So the mala is at the most gross level, but it is very beautiful. The prayer, the chant, the mantra is at a subtler level. These anchor you to your heart, and that there may come a point that your prayer becomes so deep that you naturally remain empty. So the first thing is that with the support of God's name, to remain with God is easier. It uses all the faculties or more faculties that we have available to us, and therefore we are less easily distracted. There may come a point that you've reached where just to remain naturally empty is quite effortless. For those for whom naturally remaining empty is effortless, even for them to say the name of God is a joy. If you're naturally empty, and it arises in you, or you're with a Sangha member and collectively you say, let's chant Ram, it's a joy, it's beautiful because it doesn't impede your emptiness in any way. It doesn't impede God's presence in any way. So, from within your heart, the chanting can happen. But I'd be a little concerned if you say, I'm open and empty, but I don't want to chant, I don't like it. I don't want to pray, I don't like it. You may not say the I don't like it part. So, what may be happening then is that in the guise of open and empty, it's like saying that, oh, I want to run, but I don't want to wear the best shoes which are supportive for running. I mean, you may run bare feet and that is fine, but you would not have a problem with also wearing the shoes. It should make it easier. So what could be happening is that in the guise of remaining open and empty, the mind is selling you subtle stories and narratives. And when you're chanting like this, then those cannot be hidden because you notice the flow of the chant, it stops. If you go Ram, 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 and suddenly it becomes Hakka noodles, then you notice that, as opposed to when you're thinking that you're open and empty, but you're just like, I don't like that one very much. I don't know why they said that to me. I think this is better than that. But very quietly, the mind is doing the like a mild hypnosis. Quiet, quiet, we're all open and empty. Like that. What do you think about this? But it won't be possible if you're really doing Krishna, 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 Krishna. And I don't like, you'll notice it, you see. So, what I'm saying is not that we must not be effortlessly open and empty. What I'm saying is that grace is showing me that if there is resistance to prayer or chanting, that can only come because the mind is making positions even about openness and emptiness. So, in the holy words of the prayer itself may bring you to a point where there is nothing at all. You may start at a point where you cannot locate a meaning. You cannot find distinctions between the outside and the inside. You cannot say which is you and which is the other. You may come to a point where the world itself may not be perceived, maybe just your breath is perceived. You may come to a point where only your being is shining in its own unique way. Don't imagine a shining. It's a unique, unperceived perceiving in a way. You may come up to a point where even that vanishes. And naturally, you may notice that your anchor point may change organically. The anchor may change to your breath. The anchor may change to what seemed like started off as a mental chanting, you see, becomes a heart chanting. Because your heart loves to chant the name of God. And that is called ajapa japa. It's just happening somewhere. You say you are not doing it, but it's still happening. That is more you doing it than the previous, but it's fine. And there may come a point where all of that goes away and you're just anchored in unconditional love. Just remaining empty and anchored in the unconditional love. You may come to the recognition and remain in the recognition of yourself again. Yes, that is okay. So I must make that point. The point of coming to these stages where the world dissolves, where even the breath may dissolve sometimes, without grasping at them, without making them accomplishments, is that self-recognition is very natural like that. So if you just remain like that, anchored in the unconditional love in your heart, Usually you will go from the gross to the subtle. So usually you will start off with the prayer or the chant and then be able to remain like this. Also, don't make it about any accomplishment that I do the most subtle or I am still stuck because I am doing the most gross. This is all equally beautiful. Just the mechanics and the modes are a little different. Then you may come to a point where you feel that even the anchor of love is left aside, where it's still palpable, but your heart craves only for the darshan of God, the darshan of the being within you. And only He remains. Only the presence remains. On coming to this recognition, your teacher may say, now your life has begun. Your life has really started because you met Him in your heart. His presence is there in your heart, and it is the most pristine discovery that anyone can ever make. The question may be, does it have to be in that order that we come to God? No, it cannot. It doesn't have to be in that order. But this is probably the most approachable. You don't have to innovate for your pride. You don't have to do it your way. The whole thing is letting go of your way. So you must be very clear that it is coming from your heart. Otherwise, the mind will keep tricking you and distracting you. So to come to this point where only He is, only His presence is, and at that point you may say, my presence is I am, or He is God. We must remain anchored to this in whichever way that we can. So when the sages made the bhajans that will not leave you, come what may, it was very literal that this inner insight, you remain in the light of that, you remain in the presence of that, come what may. It's not just like a thing we say in the world, no? Not a romantic gesture. I will not leave you, you can leave if you want. Is it? No. It is a deep commitment, it is a deep faith that what you have found or what you are finding is the highest. And you must not leave that. Remain with that. Let whatever happen on the outside, and outside includes every perception. Outside is not just outside the eyes. You must not exchange him for anything at all. Then, remaining like that, if it is His grace, then there may come a point where you come to a sheer nothingness. Where you cannot even say that this is the light of being, because it is sheer luminal, non-phenomenal insight. It is not an empty nothing. It is a no-thing which is the absolute reality. And this is purely intuitive. You cannot even call this light. You cannot call it darkness. You cannot say being or not being. What is the only distinction between this and the sleep state? That there's, if you notice, there's just the tiniest sliver of wakefulness that remains. But you can't really even locate it. But you recognize that you're not asleep. There's nothing that you can imagine. You just have to come to the non-phenomenal taste of it, the non-phenomenal experience of it. That is the discovery of the recognition, the realization of the self, the absolute. So suppose that you say that, okay, none of this appeals to me. My temperament is different. As you're speaking, I'm getting irritated. I don't know. I don't like any of this. Then you must ask yourself who you are. Who am I? I could have started the whole conversation in that way, saying we must ask ourselves, who am I? And if none of that appeals to you, you're getting irritated, then I could have said, chant and pray and come to love and come to God. So, who am I is very direct, it's very straightforward, but you have to be strong because it does not give you the anchors. You ask yourself, who am I? And what is Bhagavan guidance? A thought will try to answer. You ask yourself, who is witnessing that thought? And an answer may come, I am. So then you say, who is this I? So the answer will not be found in the thought, but it will lead you to the same insight. I am. You will recognize, and then that which is aware even of I am, you will recognize. And you don't have to take a call. You don't have to say, I'm a Jnani or a Bhakta, or my temperament is like that. Because that can change hour by hour. You don't have to define your way because both are made for you only. Who are they made for if not you? So whatever appeals to you at the moment without any mental duality and conflict and confusion and labeling. If you got jaded with the question, who am I, even doing it the wrong way, or some stupid idea is there that it doesn't work for me or whatever, then ask yourself, are you aware now? Am I aware now? Who's aware of perception? Can I stop being? Any of these questions. The point is to take a question that can be answered only intuitively, just like a Zen koan. That is the power of the Zen koan, that you can only answer them intuitively. The mind says, oh, that means there's no answer. Of course there is. But your answer is only there in intuition, where the realm of time and space either doesn't exist or is very different. So the path of Jnana Yoga is to take that which can be contemplated in the true place of knowledge, which is not the intellect or the mind, the true seat of self-knowledge. So you may find that while you do the inquiry, you may rest in the sense I am in the same way, Savikalpa Samadhi. You may come to a sheer nothingness. In the same way, Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So whether you dive down the path of insight or of love and servitude, of devotion, you will meet him in this way. And to meet him is the most important. Remember that it is nothing to do with what happens to you as a result of any of this. What is left of you will be left humble, faithful, and loving. Not proud, self important, and full of boundary creating notions. And the good news is that whichever path, so called path, you seem to choose, both lead to the flowering of your intuitive heart, your Holy Spirit within, the Sadguru presence within. Because it is not possible to come to God's light or that which is aware even of consciousness through any other means, through any other instrument but your heart. So that must flower, it must be kept alive, alight. Now, in our hearts, we recognize very well what keeps it alight and what makes it dull, isn't it? Who feels confused about this? Actually, you know in your heart. But if you're being selfish, if you're being, you know in your heart what makes you all meh, you see, and what makes you open and sacred. So this light must shine in your heart, the light of intuitive insight. And don't give anything that I've said to your mind. Because they are, but blah, blah. Try what I'm saying. What I've said, nothing is difficult about it. And more than this, you probably don't even need to understand. It is going to the wrong instrument. I need to make sense of this. You don't. What is resisting is only that because you're shifting houses, it is only withdrawal symptoms. You're shifting from head to heart. So the head is going to say, but something, you see, something. How this? Why this? Shift, shift, shift. I'm just the messenger of this home, extending an invitation. Come, come. It's nicer here. Yeah? Only in the mind. Can there be a block except in the mind? And once you believe the idea, there is a block from you. You start visualizing. Can't see you. Can't hear you. Where is the block? The mind will obviously try to create a block, even by saying there's a block from you. You play baseball in Argentina or no? Only football. Huh? So give it one messy kick. Give it one messy kick. And the notion comes. Oh, block from father. Don't think. Who is saying that? I used to play this exercise. And then someone told me that Papaji told them the same exercise. Because apparently Papaji also used to love watching cricket and I used to love watching it in those days. So I gave everyone this exercise one day where I just pretend as if inside you're waiting with the cricket bat. And then the next thought comes, just hit it out of the park. And then the next thought comes, just hit it out of the park. Like that. And we did this actually in satsang for half an hour or something. Very early days. The next day or that evening, someone told me that, did you hear Papaji do this exercise? And no, it just came to me in satsang. So he said he also used to do the same. Say, I love cricket because they're just like that. You have to hit their thoughts like that. So the thought comes, it doesn't seem it's possible. But it can't work. Come on, let's be serious. Then block. He's just a whisperer, no, in the head. Block. Scoop it up. Yes or no? Yeah. The body doesn't distract. It can experience pain, sensations, tummy things, whatever it's experiencing. So all that is experience. But that doesn't take away anything from what I'm saying. The mind uses that and says, see, even now your body is also. Don't let it finish. Just midway. Can't get but listen. Don't finish any sentence. Tries to be all grumpy. No finishing any sentence in the head. Midway. Let it do some hard work. No? How long will you dance to its tune? Let it do some hard work. Let it come up with some unique thought which you have to hear the whole sentence. Like this I haven't heard before. I want to really. At least let it try and produce some unique, fun stuff like that. It's very limited in its ways. Because I've just spoken about God and that absolute self-realization. And the mind has what to offer us. Basically, the message is, but me. But what about me? In the sense, but me. Somewhere it wants to still plant a flag for itself and say, but me. Yes, yes, all this is very good. But try. Wait just like you're taking a penalty. Huh? And then the thought comes, the ball is there. Just the point is to miss the goal. Just throw it out into the crowd. You can either choose your thought or you can live the way I'm literally imploring you to live, if not begging.
When one lives more in the how when one is in one's own uh, presence and one is able to um, see this and play this wonderful game of sending, I mean, you of course seeing them and then sending them on their way, because it's possible the deeper one. But then I've seen, and even with myself, that even though one may do that, then there are these kind of what we are, I've heard this term in here very often, this term called mind attack. Now I don't understand how is it that for one who is practicing like this, that then the mind who we are then saying is that he's powerless, and we are living also this, we are practicing also this, and we are we are really knowing this, that it's powerless and it's our attention, yet we really become like
Attacked
yeah.
by it. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. So this is the strangeness of it, that although it is very natural, very organic, very innocent to just live in the heart, you see. But I may go as far as to say that nobody that I am aware of lived like that 100%. Because that is the nature of this play, this design, where using the circumstantial evidence of perception, the mind manages to convince us about things, and everything that it manages to convince us is an attack on us. Because the truth is not like that. So every lie it is able to sell is an attack. Attack on what? The truth. And if you're on the side of the truth, or you are the truth, then it is an attack on you. It is like that. Nobody escapes this force field 100%, the gravitational force. It does this guerrilla warfare. No? It may even seem like, gone, gone, gone. And then something, it's like this, how can you, got you. And this span could be seconds, That's I'm acting out very badly. Could be could be seconds, minutes, days, months, years. We cannot say. Uh, it hides everywhere, especially if you. I've noticed that you're quite empty. Then also it'll try to sell you pride. Does this mean that you're free now? You see, and because we chase freedom for so long, a question like that may still, we don't recognize the attack in it. We feel like this is actually being helpful. Does this mean that I'm free, finally free? Because we suffered for so long and then chased as a spiritual seeker, chased freedom for so long, then it tempts you with those ideas. You feel like, yeah, I've been actually quite empty for the last 2-3 months. Let's be freedom. Boom. It's tricky, tricky. And it seems quite harmless. It seems so harmless. It says helping me contemplate. Am I free? But what is succeeded in doing, if you buy into the story, is bringing you back into a shape, not a real shape, but a believed shape. And that shape is called the ego. You're just happy in God's presence, like an innocent child, following his inner promptings, his nudges, just living in such a simple way. And that itself it will use to make you proud. The most devious mind attacks are the camouflage ones, in the guise of being helpful. Soon you sitting on a position. You don't even realize. Like, but it's true. I am free. But your texture has changed. So narratives, especially the beautiful sounding ones, are the most devious tricks of the mind. So what did Kabirji mean when he said that Maya is a Mahatagni? Maya is the con artist. And he even said that in the devotion of a devotee it may hide. It's a very potent sentence. How? In the devotion of a devotee it may hide. How? How would it do that? By making you take a position. But I'm just a devotee. I'm a devotee. I'm really a devotee to God. Even that narrative. And you come to satsang and your teacher saying, can we look at it like this? You're saying, no, I would rather look at it my way. Yeah, that's your subtle ways of pride. Yeah. You want to frame it in your frame of reference, and in that frame of reference, you may pick up a shape of being somebody again. It's very, very tricky. And those who are having beautiful, true insights, they are in that pregnant state of delivering a baby. So they need to be in intensive care in some sense. Because this is the time where the mind will come and try and make a shape out of you, because it is not out of tricks. It knows all this very well. That's why some book like the Screwtape Letters is very good, because there C.S. Lewis has really looked at it in such a minute way, how it can trick you. It's called the Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis. So it's very, very nice. Where there's a story in that. So there's like a older version of the mind which is coaching a younger version of the mind. They would call it demons or something. So he's writing, Screwtape is like writing, the older one is Screwtape, the younger one is Wormwood. Wormwood? So he's saying that, what happened is that this one, he was really contemplating deeply one day, and he was coming to some great revelations. And I started to worry whether I'm losing him. So I sent a thought his way, saying, this is all very good. We are doing so well. What do you feel about a bite of lunch? And this man, he said, yeah, I feel like I've been at it in the library, reading, contemplating for so long. Let me grab a bite and then I'll come back. And something which was just about to reveal itself. Then during lunch, he forgot about the whole thing. It's very, very tricky. But grace also blesses us with a greater sensitivity. We are able to notice thought patterns and thought invitations that we never saw before. Isn't it? All of you see how you're observing your mind much more clearly now, isn't it, than before? Especially if you're trying to chant or pray, you will see how it tries to impede you.
I was hoping you could kind of guide me through this exploration. When you posted that thing onto the group, the prayer from the excerpt from the conversations, it really created a lot of resistance in me, because although prayers come spontaneously sometimes, I'm not one that prays much. And I generally take the Advaita path of just, if God blesses me with presence to really hold on.
Yeah.
And when it goes, I just, occasionally prayers come for it to come back, but I'm not one that chants or prays.
Yeah.
And that excerpt kind of said, that means your mind is fooling you. But sincerely in my heart, I feel like there are pockets of presence where beautiful explorations happen, and it's not a trick. So I have faith in that, and I know not every statement is like stamped in stone. But there is this resistance that arose, so there's something there which I want to explore with you.
So you're saying that there are pockets of presence. What impedes those pockets from being just persistent presence?
Just the engaging with the mind, and when the pull is very strong, just getting pulled out and gone.
So notice if the prayer, and if it is, I don't know if you heard the concept, but I introduced it today as well, where there's something called ajapa japa. Ajapa japa means that you are no longer doing the prayer, you are no longer doing the chanting, but your heart itself is doing it. So if your intuition loves to pray, and our intuition is one, and if my heart loves to pray, I can't imagine a heart which doesn't love to pray, then especially if there is resistance coming, what would that point to? And you're not the only one. Resistance is coming for many of you. So who is making the, and my explanation was for that if you are just in presence, then would the mind have more chance or lesser chance that if you are in presence and there's a constant prayer, Ram, 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 or Allah, Allah, Allah? Is presence easier or more difficult? And this is really not up for debate, because like for thousands and thousands of years it's been made clear that it is easier with prayer to remain in God's presence, or with a mantra to remain in God's presence.
You mentioned that, I forgot the term you used.
Yeah, so what can happen is that what may seem very natural may be a conclusion that the mind is making, saying, but for what is natural for me is this. But you have to be careful whether that conclusion is coming from the heart or the mind. For the mind to give up on the mind is not natural. And it will seem initially like there is some resistance, that you have to work through some things to come to that unimpeded flow. So I would be concerned, or I would be a bit suspicious if someone told me that they can be more in presence without any anchor than with. Like, of course, you can be, I hope, and that is my blessing for all of you, that may you remain in presence without any aid. But to tell me that the aid gets in the way is something is spelling. That's what I wrote in the note also.
Can I share something on that point?
Yeah. So just give me a sense firstly that you feel like you're living mostly empty and in the present.
Throughout a 24-hour period, no.
Then how much? Approximately. You don't have to be too quantitative about it.
Maybe full on 1 hour. Even that, maybe more. 30 minutes.
So we have to make that, to start with, that must be the exception. Maybe 30 minutes in a day you are caught up in the mind. Let's start.
Other way.
I'm saying we have to make that, to switch it.
Switch it to
we have to switch it to begin with, till there comes a point that even 30 minutes will seem like too much for the mind. You see that when giving 30 minutes, what a foolish one I am that I give 30 minutes to the mind. You see? Even that will seem like too much. Till even 3 minutes will seem like too much. Till even 3 thoughts will seem like too much. You see? Then 3 thoughts in a week will seem like too much. So we have to do that. So what stops the 30 minutes from being 23 hours? Forget about sleep state. So what stops that from becoming 16
hours? The power
hours?
of belief and this engagement with belief.
Yeah. So why do you engage?
Because of this strong habit that's being broken slowly.
But if you were anchored in prayer, your breath, love, all of these beautiful tools, then would they not support you? Would they not serve like an aid to help you living in God's temple?
I think the temperament I've had in the past is I've definitely taken on methods and became a heavy seeker in using that method. However, I know that doesn't apply to everyone. Prayer can be used not as a method, but as just this love for God. But the tendency within me is it becomes this, the seeker becomes very alive.
That is my job to fix. So just follow and don't let your mind fool you by making conclusions about yourself only. Say, but this won't work for you because in the past. Follow, don't worry. As long as you keep coming to satsang, I'll keep an eye on you. Make sure you're not getting caught. You see? But your life has to be predominantly lived in God's presence. And thank you so much for your honesty, Falku, because you see what is more concerning for me as your teacher is that if you were to say, yeah, I'm empty all the time. So thank you for being honest about it, because I'm actually happy to sit at the feet of one who's empty all the time. What you could do to start with, because there's in your eyes I can still see somebody in distance, is that pick anything, any name of God which resonates with you the most. Don't make it a practice. Okay? Just say it once and return to emptiness. Then if you notice that the mind is bothering you, means it's back, you see, then say it once and leave it. Okay? So don't go Ram, 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 Ram. This is just Ram, empty. Empty, empty. Then you'll notice something. You see, and you may get caught because you're not constantly doing it, but it's okay to start with. You see, you'll get caught, but you'll notice, see, because you've been in satsang long enough, so you'll notice at some point, maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes after the hypnosis starts, you notice, oh, the mind is back, I'm caught up. So then you say, Ram. So in a day you may say it 20 times, 30 times, but it's a start. And it doesn't seem that scary to the mind. So whatever appeals to you. It may even be something that resonates with you deeply. To start with, maybe love. If there's a block, like you're saying, it's too strong. Ah,
I think another thing.
but how is this?
Yes.
Good.
Doable. Very
That's it.
applicable.
So this, I don't want to offer this to everyone because many of your minds will pick that. But where I noticed that there is real like block or something, so you can check with me and I can help you with that. It's seeming too scary to just always be in prayer. Just use it as a grenade. Mind has got you. Because I want everyone to really come to this in this way of unceasing prayer, where the mind has no chance really. Here the mind has many chances because you may notice only after 5-10 minutes. You may not notice half the day has gone, and you, oh, I forgot to say the name of God. Yeah. But I can see the like the worry in his eyes that I need to start in this way. And strangely enough, okay, I'm not gonna say it. You may okay, I'll say it. I've never been able to stop myself. So after the constant unceasing prayer, this may become your unceasing prayer. You see that it may become wordless in this way, where you may start it off with Ram, and then you're just standing in God's presence, inward facing, no? Like I said, antarmukhi. You just turned inwards and you're living in His presence, and you're just empty most of the time. Things are happening, everything is going on, and then something, if it grabs you, then you, because you're so sensitive now, you remember Ram. Or your full ADS prayer if you want. You finished?
Come back next day.
Just contemplate.
Father, the thing about chanting, it starts off very well. Starts off really well. Feel, like it really silences the mind and connects and everything that you say. But after some time, after like maybe a day or so, Father, the mind tries to make it an obsession.
Yeah.
Like it says, okay, now you're not chanting. Okay, now this see this thought. Now you have to chant. What are you doing? Like that. It's so feverish that it just goes on saying that you're missing God's name, like that. And that's when I just.
So when you chant, like even to do it mechanically is better than not doing it. See? But to do it when you say Ram, it must be an invocation, it must be a remembrance, it must be a surrender all at the same time. And that comes naturally. So there's a difference between Ram, 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 like that, and Ram, heartfelt. So the more heartfelt it becomes, the less the mind will be able to trick you with it. You want this? Good. Take it. So those who are really, really resisting it, do it this way. At least this much you can't be averse to saying God's name, can you? Which is what? You got it? Maybe you start the day like that, where you just say Hare Krishna. then just remain in God's presence, remain empty. Because apparently you're all just empty naturally, so I'm very happy to hear. And and then when you're not, because you won't be, then remember again, Hare Krishna. So with as much devotion, love, feeling that you can muster.
Very related to what I think last 3-4 questions have emphasized. I'm finding that the slip happens when the thoughts or the mind stories that are happening are heavily laced with desire, wanting an outcome basically, and other thoughts that are not so strongly laced with desire, they can come, but it's so easy to manage that. So on the desire or outcome oriented thoughts, I'm trying to, I'll tell you what I've been trying for the last maybe month or so, because a couple of them have come with strong force. And so just sitting with them and staring at them comfortably till after this staring them for long enough, it kind of evaporates, or there's a realization that I don't know why I have this desire for this outcome even. Maybe the intellect or some part of me is willing to let it go, but it still comes in, right? So all I've been doing is just sitting and staring at it because I don't know what else to do. I don't know how to uproot it. And it is diminished. Acceptance has come. The intensity of that desire is slowly diminished quite a bit. And I'm not taking it for granted because I know it can come back like a beast again. But is there some other way that you can point us to? And I don't know what I'm doing is the right way or whatever. It seems to be working, but it's not easy, hasn't been easy, but it's okay. I'm patient. Let it take its time. But my main question is around uprooting that.
Thank you. So there are two ways. The first way is to inquire into it. So this says, I really want this, or whatever the nature of the desire is. So every time you find yourself believing that, say, who is the I who must get this? And we must not, if we choose to inquire into it, then we must not leave the inquiry till when the thought comes, it doesn't become laughable. You see, it will become lighter and lighter till the point where it comes, it becomes almost like a comedic thing to say, that which seems so important and serious. You see? And so if you just inquire into it and say, who should have this, or who is, whatever the framing of the thought is depending on that. You see? So if you catch it with the inquiry and use it as a tool that way, then the mind itself will shudder from giving you that thought again, because it doesn't want you to inquire. The second way is just to drown it in the presence itself. So just drown it in the presence itself. Saying that you're just so inward facing, heart facing. Keep saying that it's almost like it is met with a force field of presence, a force field of love, a force field of grace, which is all within you.
So something like that has been going on, and the bigger realization that's happened is that I can't afford to harbor any desire because I'm seeing the consequences. And like you said before, a lot of us want to have this corner where we can keep some desires and it's okay, it's not so bad. And the mind hates it that I have to let go of everything, right? And I think I'm finally making that turn. I don't know if I'll finish that turn, but I'm at that turn where, yeah.
And it may not even be something that happens, that it's not happened here, that it's 100% free from desire of any sort. So, but at least that hiding in a corner thing, that has to stop. That has to be kept open and available with integrity for God to look at. We must not hide this from the presence. We must not make excuses for it. We must not hide our conditions, our vasanas in a dark corner, pretending that they don't exist, because they just keep festering there. You see? And when they tempt you in, then they can seem a lot if they kept like that. But you kept it all in the open and said, Father, it's all here, it's all yours, with integrity. You see? That then it's really helpful. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, and God's light is much better than that also.
Can prayer be used to anchor oneself even during inquiry? Because like you had, it was good to note what you said today about inquiry.
That reminds me one more thing before I answer this, my child. One thing.
Sure.
So in the same way, if you're really averse to any prayer to start with, okay, I'm not going to leave you like that, but but if you want something that you can use, you can also say, you can use the words of the inquiry and say, who am I? With integrity. You can't just, you have to really ask, who am I? And if you're caught up, you see, then it becomes empty. If you've been inquiring at least for some time, then it becomes quite empty for a while. And then when you find yourself caught up again, then again you would say, who am I? So the mind is offering you, like you were saying, something specific, then you can just use that itself in your inquiry and say, who wants this? Or who is averse to this? Or whatever, whatever the framing is, you can use that. The point is to return to God's presence, using whatever tools we have at our disposal.
It doesn't have to be a prayer.
It doesn't have.
The anchor point, something.
That, you know what that question sounds to me like? It's like the best delicacy in the world is there, but we don't want that. We just like, can I have some? What are those biscuits which are tasteless?
But the delicacy is the presence, that remembrance.
Yes. So that is the most important thing. So if the Mari biscuit gets you there, it's fine. You see? Mari is the best. So those who love Mari can use Mari biscuit. Digestive, whatever. Parle. We'll have one separate satsang to discuss and to conclude. I was talking to a smaller group and I felt like I'm really like talking at a different layer only. So I have to really find a way to use. Today I use Chinese food. At least that was helpful. So we can use to start with whatever gets you to God's presence.
You talked about this delicacy.
Yeah.
Right. What are the delicacy? I mean,
when you meet one day, may it be so that you meet the name of God. And I don't know how to say it. Just that I can pray to Him Is probably one of the things that makes being a human worthwhile compared to a plant or animal. That I can invoke him and I know that it's a true invocation. One day, if you stay with me, you taste all of this also. But right now, what's most important is use whatever, stay in God's presence. That's more important. You're right, but the main thing right now is that. And if you have to pick between doors, as long as they lead to your heart temple, it's not so important which door you pick. But even the doors of his temple are so pristine. How to say? Even the doors of his temple are so pristine. Use whatever door you can at the moment, just whatever. The point is to come to his temple, come to his presence. Whatever gets you there, use it. It's fine. Just don't fall for the mind. Don't stay with the mind. Stay with his presence. Whatever works. Inquiry, prayer, anything, breath, love, whatever you want to use. It's all good. It's all good. But it is here one day to share with all of you the beauty of the possibility of taking God's name. It's God's name.
The question, Father, like it was good to note when you said today that during inquiry there is no anchor as such, so like these days there's been an unceasing inquiry.
So the inquiry itself becomes an anchor. The question, who am I, can be used as long as you're sincerely asking. You see, you could be a complete beginner in satsang, but if you sincerely ask, who am I, what happens is that you go beyond the mind. Because the mind is a image producing engine. We talked about this. So if you say banana, orange, elephant, it comes. So it is designed to produce like that. You see, it will say, I will help you. But with a question like this, who am I? Initially it may try. You are this one. You are Chennai. You are a person. You are a woman. What more do you want? You see, so like that. So, but you say, no, but who am I? Who is witnessing this world? It doesn't have an answer. So, and then it will try all various tricks to distract you, whatever. But if you stay with it, then you will recognize it's like almost like you're calling home. You're discovering an aspect within yourself which has been lying unused. So it's like you have a secret generator hidden in your basement, which is a unique power source, which has been hidden and forgotten about. But when you use a question like that, and that's why I said it's just like a Zen koan, which you cannot answer. You can try like this, like that, like this, but a true Zen koan can only be answered intuitively. It has an answer, but the answer is not possible to compute, to intellectualize at all. So that is, it plays the same thing. In the same way, the question, who am I, does the same thing. Or even, am I aware now? How can I stop being? All these questions that you hear in satsang can be answered intuitively, and the idea is to get our intuition to open up. It's there, it's open up in the sense we use it poetically to say that it's already open. It's just that we have not been relying on it for so long. You see? So for us, it'll feel like, it's there. It's there. New. It's like you discover a new part of your house, which is actually a window to the whole universe. It's literally like the cupboard in Narnia. You feel like life was very mundane and there's a war happening and all of that. You're escaping, and suddenly you open the door of this cupboard. It's a whole universe there. And that seems like the truer place. For some of you who've read Narnia, that book literally saved my life, because as a kid I was going through some stuff, and my only escape was the British Council Library in Bahrain, where I used to live. So I would just walk by myself over there, and then Grace sent me these books, and just they became my anchor. And life all around me was a strange sort of mess. Those books and the character of Aslan really, I feel like, saved my life in some way. But I was too young to realize that it is really written metaphorically. You see, so the cupboard really is your heart anchor, your heart knowing. You open that and you discover a completely different reality. You see, it seems so. All the Plato's cave, all those things are the same kind of metaphor. No? You go the other way and you look and you find a completely different universe from what we thought. So the whole idea is of the Zen koan, of the inquiry, of the invitation, of the ADS, is to get us to live in our heart, not in our head.
I'm trying my best these days just to stay in the heart, and it's the minute there is attack from the mind, thoughts from the mind, the inquiry. Like nowadays it's like I really ask, who is this? Who's asking, or who is really thinking?
So very potent question. For a long time, this was the question I used to ask just before sleeping, and I used to go to sleep like, even who am I? Of course, no doubt. So just like our prayer must be done with as much devotion, as much love, as much faith as we can muster, the inquiry must be done with a true sincerity. Like you have to really ask, who am I? But who am I? And the mind struggles because it can't produce it like banana, orange, elephant. At least for a few moments, then it leads you to a higher intelligence. It's almost like it says, this is above my pay grade. I can't handle this. Have you noticed the same thing happened with the koan? Initially, all of you were like, but like that, but like this. And then you were like questioning the koan itself. But does it have an answer? It does. It does have an answer. Not here. And that's why these inquiry and koan is also very helpful, because it makes the mind give up and tired. Just frustrated, tired. Otherwise, it's usually riding very high. I can get the answers to everything. Oh, really? What is the sound of one hand clapping? Like that. See? And you notice the koans is just anything which is beyond the mind. Why did Bodhidharma go to the east? That's a koan. Now everything is laid out for you, whatever can be laid out in words, but you have to follow. You have to follow whatever brings you to God's light. Don't settle for anything less. And don't be too conclusive about yourself. Like, I am like this, I prefer this, I prefer like that. Either you squeeze it out of yourself or life will. I was an atheist who used to say God is for losers. Life squeezed it out of me, grace squeezed it out. All the blocks that you put for yourself. Messy kick. Yeah. So messy is usually better passes, no? Not so much. This is the problem. Don't just pass it around, kick it out. Yeah. Really, the koans won't work in an environment like this. You need an environment where there's only one master available, and you have to really beg him to let you into the monastery, and then the master says, this is what you do for as long as it takes, and that could be 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. You're just asking a question, and it needs a certain type of devotion and lack of alternative, which is very difficult in a modern sort of setting. So if I just said, all of you, your job is to face the wall every day and ask yourself, what is this? Which is Korean Zen. So just all you have to do is that and nothing else. And food will be made available, or you have to do some work in the farm or the field outside, and that's your whole sadhana. And once a week you report to me saying, what's the answer to what is this? The numbers will start thinning. Couple of weeks tops. So there's a great faith even in the path of Zen. Because who can, like I say, spirituality is a risk, faith is a risk. So you're basically risking your entire life to try and answer a question like, what is this? If you were in that situation, you realize that it will seem so strange that this is what you have to do. Imagine the kind of faith you have to have in your master to spend 10 years, 20 years just struggling with this question, what is this? Facing a wall with nothing to distract you. It's astounding the level of faith that those ones had in those days.
It's open and about the same thing. It's open and empty and prayer. Like when there was a satsang about this actually, where we were talking about to honor the presence, and then in a way that being open and empty, that prayer and that goes together, because it is almost like a way to bow to that presence. It's not only some Ram that mind. Is, yeah, it's not some kind of a, because if there is a sense of presence, even then without that prayer, that like you were saying, that's then this physics. So what is it?
Yeah.
What is that, and how does it then?
And the more we explore it, the best part about the exploration is that it's intuitive, no? It only has like the subtlest vibration inviting you in, but the presence itself, except like it's its aura of the primordial vibration, it is met intuitively. And there is no greater gift that we can give to ourselves than to remain with the intuitive presence, the Sadguru presence within. That itself is beautiful, where the doorway to all insights open like that. Remain there. The more you are realizing who lives in your heart, the easier it will be to let go of your mind. Of course, the mind will fight harder, but its temptations won't seem that attractive. The more difficult you will try, it will be to make this about a me. So at least most of the world believes that who lives in your heart? Nobody. Huh? Let's be honest. Most of the world, nobody lives in my heart. Or if they're being like poetic or romantic, they'll say, my beloved, or some idea like that. Then after coming to satsang, hopefully from nobody I have brought you to, I've heard from him that God lives, but I don't know. At least everyone should be at that point. And some of you will be able to confirm with me that he is here. And as we go along, hopefully all of you will be able to confirm that he is here. This is the project. Because in his light, then the recognition of the absolute can happen and it's not effortful. Without his light, it's not possible anyway. Because he is the true Guru, the bringer of light is him. And to reach him, the only obstacle is a thought. A thought. So the mind can only produce a thought at a time. It produce 3 thoughts at a time. Can you do it? Can't. It's just like a mouth. You can speak only one word at a time. That's all you have to transcend. But that itself is, it can seem like the most difficult challenge that we will ever encounter. Why? Because it seems like it is me. So to let go of that seems like I have to let go of me, myself only. Then what will I do with God if I am only not there? This is the kind of absurdity that we will get into.
When you come to that point where you see that it's not you, you can begin just to notice that that thought is not, that voice is not you. And it becomes clear even for 1 moment or 2 moments or even that you see that. I just wanted to check with you. So when I was doing the inquiry and when we ask, like, who am I? I was just open Papaji's book. And he said, then you keep quiet. You keep quiet. And I noticed that, so I became the quiet one. So when the thought said something, I could witness it, because when you started being quiet, that presence became, that quietness, it started becoming more.
Okay, so
yeah, I
you
just
know what
wanted
we're
to-
going to do?
Yeah.
What you reminded me of that day, which is everyone pick one pointer. Pick one pointer, like we did many years back, and use it fully. Because otherwise, what will happen is, oh, I read this, I saw this, then this was there, then that was there. Every day it seems like we're making new discoveries, but we have to dig the well deeper and deeper and deeper. So pick one, if not pointer, pick one method, and stay with it as much as you can. And then if it becomes too much, then tell me and say, okay, now I need to change the door. I can't chant anymore. I need to inquire. Okay, inquire. I can't inquire anymore. I need to pray.
I already picked
Which is?
chanting, and I'm now full on. And
That's good. Yeah, I know. I just said that sometimes like that, sometimes like that. But many times what can happen is that, not that I'm not saying this in this case, I'm just saying generally that many times our spirituality or our so-called spiritual seeking can also be an obstacle. It's like, I didn't stay with God present, but I was reading this. I didn't stay with this, but I was doing this. So you find some mental substitute. It seems almost good enough. Okay.
There is craving for him, longing for him. Is it the same as prayer, Father?
Yes, it can be. It can be in the sense that if it is from the heart, no, longing means from the heart. So, yes. But sometimes it may even start off with very mechanical, like you were saying, that actually I'm just caught up. I had a fight with someone and I just caught up and all that. But my Guruji told me, so I'm going to chant a little bit. It just starts like yeah. But there's some potency in these words. There's some potency in that which also we have activated in our heart in the past. So then after a few of those, it may actually start to deepen. If the mind doesn't win, then may actually become more heartfelt. It may become a true invocation, and then it may be just from the heart, just like effortless from the heart. The heart is chanting. So whether to say, then what to say, whether it's a longing and this thing, all these distinctions then start to fade away, you know, in the heart. God, 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 God. Huh? Yeah, but you have to have a sense of it, in the sense that if you can notice that you're like just too much spiritual concept picking up, and almost like a spiritual shopping, instead of just using a pointer to remain in God life. How should you read a book now? No? So if you're reading Papaji, if you're reading Bhagwan, if you're reading all these Guruji, if you're reading all these beautiful masters, you're reading them, you'll find that you read like 2-3 sentences and you just go quiet within the heart. So it's almost like a prayer. You're almost reading it in that way, that you're reading or you're hearing a satsang and you're just in the energy field of the Sadguru presence. It just takes you to the heart. So if that is what it is, then that is fine. But if you feel like, oh yeah, now I understood this and I should do like that, and then this, like that, then it becomes like you can smell whether it's becoming too intellectual or mental. Then say, okay, now keep it all aside. I'm going to stay with inquiry or chanting, something that just takes you to God. Because every moment that you don't spend in His light is not a moment of life anyway. Even in the guise of spirituality. So we don't have, I'm not going to force you today, but if I feel like that is happening, where we just like intellectual shopping, pick one thing. And you dig, you come to God. Yes.
So with the ADS, so it's taken on in a way that I'm not able to. So even say Anandamayi Now videos, like there's a habit of wanting to just hear, but I'm unable to just hear. Like I'm not able to hear. Like
because there's no attention.
There's no attention, or it's. I won't say completely it's on the prayer, but I'm not able to even say reading a newspaper. I'm not able to process. So today I felt I'll just do pranayam. I'm not able to, like anything where the breath is not chanting. I'm not able to. I was like, am I?
That's like, quite a switch over.
And then the mind hates it. The mind doesn't like it. It's like now you're not even able to do anything. You can't hear. You can't. So it's feeling so cornered.
I don't want to do this only. It is too.
You can't even listen to Anandamayi Ma. You can't even do pranayam. It's like, so like she was saying, like I was just wondering if I'm going insane or what's going on. Like I don't know what's going on.
No, but I'm saying, okay,
I can't do anything where the breath doesn't involve. Mostly. Like, so yesterday I was at a party, I could talk, it was natural.
Yeah. Is that the mind saying or your heart is saying?
What, Father?
That you can't do anything when the breath is involved.
The mind is saying. It's feeling very like it's frustrated and cornered.
Shayan ka hai ghar mein cricket bat?
हाँ, 2 hai. It's trying every trick, Father, to stop that. So all these.
Who's complaining about it every trick? It only.
So it's okay.
Nothing can be inauspicious when you're invoking God's name.
Can I just expose all its tricks? Because I do get so all like this, like the body just starts feeling very weird. Like I feel like I'm dizzy, I'm going to faint, all kinds of stuff, and it's like, look, you're not doing it the right way. You know, it's not you're not breathing it's trying every trick, and I'm falling for that fear. You know, I'm scared because the body is my twig. when the body starts feeling, which it is, you know, it just, I don't know, I'm just
From your tweak, you make it your Isaac.
yeah, okay. I sometimes just say, you know, Krishna knows, and I just leave it like Krishna knows, like, you know, because it tries to, like,
Always, just say it, always.
okay.
Very
Yeah,
But I'm liking the switch.
it's quite a contrast. It's overwhelming to my system. Like in those areas, no, like I said, okay, today I try pranayama. No, so just the alternate. I couldn't do it. I just had to stop and just start that. So it's like you're not taking care of your body. Like what? You know, so that's the trick. It just. But it just feels like I just want to chant, like, you know, just can't stop. It's insane, Father.
If you have spiritual experiences that you're perceiving that seem beautiful, enjoy them. Don't run from them, but don't attach to any of that. Sometimes you'll see some very sublime things. Enjoy it. But often, from the beginning of sharing satsang, this analogy came where you enjoy the prasad at the temple, but hopefully you're not going to the temple for the prasad. So you're going to be with God, to be in His presence. Don't, because the mind will lose all of that. And never say that today my inquiry or my sadhana or my staying with God's presence is not happening because I'm not seeing something. All that seeing, not seeing is unimportant. So don't grasp at any perception. You don't have to figure out whether it is imagination or it is visions or what it is. Don't worry about any of that. Your job is to be with God. The mind will very quickly start using those things. You see, as you're all deepening in your sadhana, you'll start to make benchmarks. It'll say, or somebody else is reporting something, you may say, I'm either that I'm feeling so it's not happening for me, or you are doing something wrong because you are just stuck in your imagination, things like that. No judgments about yourself or for any brother or sister. Everyone is going to come to this in their own unique way, the unique set of experiences along the way.
I have been finding that it's not helpful at all to discuss it with anyone, although it makes it very hard, because when I've had and like when I've discussed it or shared what I was going through, it became real. Instead of it diminishing, it like they say, share your sorrow and it's halved, but I feel that it became double. So I just wondered, like, yeah.
Yes, there are many dynamics that are at play. It's not as straightforward. One of the things that maybe all of us have noticed is that something seems truer and a stronger position that we take once it's come out of our mouth. So the minute also we've said, oh, but it's like this, we feel like, oh, is it? And you may not, have you noticed this, especially in arguments at home and things like that, that you may not have such a strong position about it. But the minute you've said it, then it becomes like, okay, now it has to be like that. You see, a few minutes later, you'll be like, I don't really care about that thing. You see, once it just so there are many things which are at play like that, where once you said to friends, that I'm really upset about this thing. You may not have been feeling that upset also, but once you said it, you're like, yeah, I'm actually really upset.
And then they will ask you, are you okay now? Why have you forgotten?
They're trying to help. Yes, you have to just be very hearty about it. We don't know. Like sometimes our friends, our sangha can be a great help because they help us spot things which we may be hiding. You may say, but isn't that your mind? Or is that pride? Or is that something? That's helpful. Many times we just need to hear from someone that it's all okay. We all go through this. It's okay. Sometimes that's helpful. So it's not, but it's not completely cut and dry that it will become half a future. It's not that. It's strange, isn't it? How positions can seem to get even stronger once the words are out. Like I've said this now, like positions become stronger once the words are out. And one of you says, no, Father, they don't really become stronger. Don't they? Let's look. Before that, I wasn't so bothered about This is a problem in worldly relationships. That the words become like really as if they represent us truly, and then once we've said them also, we take on the position that they're truly representative of us. It's not very absurd actually.
So earlier you talked about, I saw it in your eyes when you talked about the sweetness of invoking God's name. And this is a sweetness I could resonate with. But it's, it's that presence, the look on your eyes when I think of just being in that space. So maybe maybe I'm worried my mind is just missing something by not invoking the name. The presence is the longing is there, the presence is so beautiful. And
so spend as much time as you can with it. Use the inquiry, use whatever you want. Just be with the presence as much because that presence is also the true Guru. He himself will also guide you. This one is just his instrument. And this one, in this worldly appearance, we have to speak in this way, collectively. But my job really is to guide you to him, who will guide you every moment. And when things become moment to moment, then all instructions fall flat actually. Because he's guiding you freshly every moment, which in a worldly way I can't do. So my pay grade is only to get you to him. By hook or crook, get you to him. The rest he will take care of. So stay with him as much as you can. Maybe like this child, you will also switch, because till 2 days ago she was like, I can't do the ADS, I just can't do it. Now she's like, I can't leave the EDS. No matter what I'm doing, I can't leave. So who knows his ways? They're all mysterious. Who can? The stupid atheist boy. Now spoken for so long, so many years about God and his life. Who can tell? It'd be unimaginable for that one, no? To ever consider that he's going to be sharing God's life. Okay, one question is, Father, I don't have any spiritual experiences, anything at all. My life is just too simple. Is it okay? Yes? Yes. In many ways, it is also better to be just simple like that because the mind has less fuel to make benchmarks, to say all kind of. If you just, it's very, very sober, even that is very good. Then the next one, the EDS prayer is constantly running in the background. There are times when during an activity or just sitting, there's tuning into it. So sweet to get this darshan. We keep waving like this forever. Because I wave, then you wave back, then I wave back.